Okay, so I'm going to show you two different methods for doing long multiplication. So long multiplication is when both of your numbers have at least 2 digits in them. So the example I'm going to use today is going to be 472 times 26. So I'm going to do this two different ways. So the first way is the column method. So this is one which you're probably familiar with using for addition and subtraction, but you can also use it for multiplication. Okay, so we're going to set it out a bit like if we were adding it. So making sure to keep our digits aligned in the right place within the place value. Okay, and I'll just pop my little multiplication symbol so that I know what I'm doing. So this is going to take two main steps. First, we're going to multiply this whole top number by our 6, and then we'll multiply this whole top number by the 20. So we'll go along first multiplying each digit by 6. So we're starting off with 2 times 6, which gives us 12. So I'll put my 2 in there and I'll carry my 1, a bit like when we're adding and we need to carry digits over. Our second one we need to do is 7 times 6, which gives us 42. But we need to remember to add on this 1 that we've carried. So I'll cross it out to say I've used that now and I've got 43. So again, I'll put my 3 in and I'll carry that 4. Okay, lastly, I need to do my 4 multiplied by my 6, which gives me 24. But then I need to add on this 4 that I've carried, so that will give me 28. So again, cross that out to say I've used that, put in my 8, and I've not got to do anything else, so my 2 can just go straight up there. Okay, now I'm just going to create another column. And before I multiply anything, I need to put a 0 in my units or ones column at the end. That's because I'm not just multiplying by 2, this 2 is actually worth 20. So while I will be going along multiplying each digit by 2, I need to remember that overall I'm actually multiplying by 20. So in order to make sure I do that, I'm just going to multiply this whole row by 10 first. You can think of it as multiplying by 20 as multiplying by 10 and then multiplying that by 2, or multiplying by 2 and then multiplying by 10. Okay, so I've put my 0 in just to remind me that this whole row is actually being multiplied by 20 rather than just 2. So now I can go along and multiply by 2 as normal. So I've got 2 multiplied by 2, which will give me 4. So that will go straight into the tens column here. Then I've got my 7 multiplied by 2, which will give me 14. So again, put my 4 in, carry that 1. And then I've got my 4 multiplied by my 2, which will give me 8. Add on the 1 that I've carried, cross that one off to say I've used that. And that gives me 9. So now all I need to do is add up these two answers. So 2 add 0 is 2. 3 add 4 is 7. 8 add 4 is 12. Remember to carry that 1 again. 2 and 9 and 1 is 12 again. So I should have 12,272. The second method is called the grid method. So this involves drawing out your grid. And then putting your numbers in. So I'm going to put my 472 along the top, but I'm going to split it into the parts it's made up of. So 470 and 2, like that. So I'm just partitioning my numbers out. So your hundreds, your tens, and then your units. And then for the second number, 26, partition those out, I'll have 20 and I'll have 6. So then I just go along each row, multiplying and treating this as a bit of a multiplication table. So 20 times 400 sounds quite big, but what you can do as a trick is just do the 2 times the 4, which is 8, and then add on those zeros you've got. So I've got 1, 2, 3 zeros. Add those in. 20 multiplied by 70, do 2 times 7, which is 14, and then I've got a 0 there, a 0 there, so I'll put 2 zeros in. And then 20 times by 2 will give me 40. Again, 2 times 2 is 4, add in that 0. And then do the next row. 6 times 4 would be 24. I've got no zeros here, but I've got 2 zeros there to add in. 6 times 7, 42. Add in that 1 0 up there, and then 6 times 2 is 12. Now I just add up my first row, add up my second row, and then add those together. So I've got 8,000, add 1,400, add 40. You may well be able to just do this in your head. I'm just doing it off to the side to kind of show you. So our first number here is 9,440. And then here I've got 2,400, 420, and 12. Add them together. I've got 2,832. So now I just need to add these two numbers together. So 0 add 2, again. And we've ended up with the same answer. Okay, you can see by looking at this total here, it's the same as the total that I got for this bottom row, because that's when I was timesing this whole 472 by 6, this whole 472 by 6, and then this number here is the same as the total that I got for this row, because I was timesing 472 by 20, 472 by 20. Okay, so you can decide which method works best for you, but you can also, once you've used one method, use the other method to check your answer. So I didn't even, if I was just checking my answer, I didn't actually need to even add them here, because I could see by this point I had ended up with the same answers, so I would end up with the same total as well. Okay, so that's 2 methods for doing long multiplication.